Hi friends, it's good to see you. Come on in, let's go get started. I'm really glad you came to join us today because today is all about making choices. In our story, we're going to hear from a little rabbit who made a lot of different choices. What to eat, what to do. Do you have a hard time making choices sometimes? Me too. Today's story is The Tale of Peter Rabbit by Beatrice Potter. Now before I read the story, we need to get our bodies ready to listen. So why don't you stretch with me? We're gonna take a deep breath in and exhale. Let's reach those hands to the ceiling as high as you can. Clap them together and reach a little bit further. Now bring them down quietly into your lap. Roll those shoulders back. Take a quiet deep breath in and out. Relax your face. And let's read our story. The Tale of Peter Rabbit by Beatrice Potter. Once upon a time, there were 4 little rabbits, and their names were Flopsy, Mopsy, Cottontail, and Peter. They lived with their mother in a sandbank underneath the root of a very big fir tree. "Now, my dear," said old Mrs. Rabbit one morning, "you may go into the fields or down the lane, but don't go into Mr. McGregor's garden. Now run along and don't get into mischief. I am going out." Then old Mrs. Rabbit took a basket and her umbrella and went through the woods to the baker's. Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail, who were good little bunnies, went down the lane to gather blackberries. But Peter, who was very naughty, ran straight away to Mr. McGregor's garden and squeezed under the gate. First he ate some lettuce, some French beans, and then he ate some radishes. But around the end of a cucumber frame, whom should he meet but Mr. McGregor? Mr. McGregor was on his hands and knees planting young cabbages, but he jumped up and ran after Peter, waving a rake and calling out, "Stop, thief!" Peter was dreadfully frightened. He rushed all over the garden, for he had forgotten the way back to the gate. He lost one of his shoes among the cabbages and the other shoe among the potatoes. After losing them, he ran on all 4s and went faster, so that he might have gotten away if he had not unfortunately run into a gooseberry net and got caught by the buttons on his jacket. It was a blue jacket with brass buttons, quite new. Peter gave himself up for lost and shed big tears, but his sobs were overheard by some friendly sparrows, who flew to him in great excitement and begged him to try to free himself. Mr. McGregor found a sieve which he intended to put on top of Peter, but Peter wriggled out just in time, leaving his jacket behind him. Peter rushed into the tool shed and jumped into a watering can. It would have been a beautiful thing to hide in if it had not had so much water in it. Mr. McGregor was quite sure that Peter was somewhere in the tool shed, perhaps hidden underneath a flower pot. He began to turn them over carefully, looking under each. Suddenly, Peter sneezed. Kerchoo! Mr. McGregor was after him in no time. He tried to catch Peter, who jumped out a window, upsetting 3 plants. The window was too small for Mr. McGregor, and he was tired of running after Peter. He went back to his work. Peter sat down to rest. He was out of breath and trembling with fright, and he had no idea which way to go. And also, he was very damp from sitting in that can. He found a door in a wall, but it was locked, and there was no room for a fat little rabbit to squeeze underneath. Peter saw an old mouse carrying peas and asked her the way to the gate, but she had such a large pea in her mouth that she could not answer. Peter began to cry. Peter tried to find his way straight across the garden, but he became more and more puzzled. He came to a pond where there was a white cat staring at some goldfish. Peter thought it best to go away without speaking to her. He had learned about cats from his cousin, little Benjamin Bunny. He went back toward the tool shed, but suddenly, quite close to him, he heard a noise of a hoe. Scritch, scratch, scratch. It was Mr. McGregor hoeing onions. His back was turned towards Peter, and beyond him was the gate. Peter got down very quietly off the wheelbarrow and started running as fast as he could go along some straight walk behind some blackberry bushes. Mr. McGregor caught sight of him at the corner, but Peter did not care. He slipped underneath the gate and was safe at last in the woods outside the garden. Peter never stopped running or looking behind him until he got home to the big fir tree. He was so tired that he flopped down upon the nice soft sand on the floor of the rabbit hole and shut his eyes. His mother was busy cooking. She wondered what he had done with his clothes. It was the second little jacket and pair of shoes that Peter had lost in 2 weeks. That evening, Peter was not very well. His mother put him to bed and made some chamomile tea. She gave a dose of it to Peter. 1 tablespoon to be taken at bedtime, she said. But Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail had bread and milk and blackberries for supper. The end. Peter had a lot of choices to make in that story. Did you hear one of the choices he made was what to eat during the day? Sometimes that can be a little bit tricky. So in our next segment, I'm going to show you some healthy ways to fuel your body and make it a good choice to give you a lot of energy and feeling great. Are you with me? Come on, let's go. Hi friends, welcome to my kitchen. It's my favorite room in the whole house because I like to eat. I like the way my body feels after I fuel it full of yummy food. Now, something that you could choose for a healthy snack could be a banana or an apple or even some celery. I don't know about you guys, but sometimes my kids take a bite and then say, "Oh, I'm all full," and they go back outside to play. But there's still a lot of fruit left on this apple. And if I were to throw this away or compost it, it would still be pretty wasteful. We don't want you to be wasteful. So what you can do with a parent, or maybe what your parent can do beforehand, is cut your snack into pieces. Put it in some Tupperware with a lid on it and place it in the fridge so that when you're ready for a snack, it's all ready for you. Now, it's okay if an apple is a little bit brown, but if you don't like that, what you can ask your parent to do is just sprinkle some lemon juice over the top, and that will help it from going brown. It's a process called oxidation. Either way, it still tastes really good. Okay, you ready? I'm going to show you how to make one of my kids' most favorite snacks. It's super simple. Ants on a log. All you need is a piece of celery, some peanut butter, and dried fruit. You can choose raisins, craisins, but today I'm trying something different. Those are dried blueberries. The first thing before you start touching any type of food, before snack time or before meal time, you need to wash your hands. That way we can get the germs off and it'll keep you healthy. So I've already done that. I'm gonna get right to it. I'm gonna open my peanut butter, take a spoon, and gently dip my spoon into the peanut butter. Now, peanut butter is super sticky. I don't want that all over my nice clean hands that I just washed. So what I'm going to do is carefully dip the peanut butter onto my celery. there we have it. Do you see how I'm shaking my hand a little bit to get it off? Boom. No sticky mess. Easy peasy. You've got this. Here's my log. Now what do I need to do? Get some ants. Here are my blueberries. This will be my nice little ants crawling across the log. And there you have it, ants on a log. Now, I want to make sure I don't waste. So what I can do is cut my celery and have a little bite now. Or I could cut it into smaller bite-sized pieces so that I can have some later too. Again, I can just place it in a nice clean Tupperware. See how nicely that fits in there? Perfect. But I'm a little hungry. That's so good, I can't resist it. Take a bite and enjoy it. It's sweet and crunchy. And I know it's gonna fuel my body until it's the next meal. You can do it. You can make a healthy choice. I can't wait to hear what you have to say about it. What are your favorite snacks? Let me know.